really like the Wyatt 6 house. I think that one is actually a really interesting house. It's different. I think for a lot of people, there is just enough that if you didn't know the lore, then you would be like, oh, this is actually a really cool house. But if you really knew the lore and if you really knew like the little like Easter eggs that's inside of it, it takes on a whole different level. So I'll probably break down a couple of things that I don't think a lot of creators are talking about, but I'm a wrestling nerd, so this is something that is my wheelhouse. So I'm going to break down a couple of things that I really, really enjoy. So something to take a look at is like right here, this little call sheet. You see it like as soon as you walk in, and right on the table, it's like a call sheet, and it has a bunch of names. Now I was already looking at it because it has John Laurinaitis on the call sheet, which I thought was a little bit weird to put him in a house, considering he's implicated in the Janelle Grant case. But that being said, I thought that that was a little bit strange. So I really wanted to look at that sheet again because a lot of people were like, oh, this is the call sheet from when it was the debut of the Wyatt Six. But when you look a little bit closer, it's not. Mostly I'm kind of like looking at that part right there of Bray Wyatt segment with the King, which is in reference to this part in Monday Night Raw, which is May 29th, 2019, where Bray Wyatt ambushes Jerry the King Lawler, which was really cool. By the way, I'm using Kevin Heimbach's video because he had like the best walkthrough, which I thought was really good. Very, very detailed, and a lot of people kind of cut out all the things that I'm looking for. But he filmed virtually everything. But like this guy right here, that's supposed to be Chad Gable from when the Wyatt 6 debuted and they jumped Chad Gable. You can see The Miz. That's supposed to be The Miz, by the way. That's strapped up. So if you're like, who is that guy? That's The Miz, if you didn't already know, in reference to a forever feud of Dexter Lumis versus The Miz. So in that type of storyline, The Miz hired Dexter Lumis to take out all of The Miz's enemies. And when it came to paying Dexter Lumis, Miz never paid him, so Dexter Lumis has a blood feud with The Miz. It's happened for years. Now there is a part that you'll run into the ECW World Championship. Now this is very, very interesting because this is the 2001 version of the ECW Championship, because soon after that, the whole promotion went under. It became defunct. Vince McMahon brought it back, but he brought back this version. So that version was in ECW for a very, very brief moment of time. But it's this version that they end up changing it to pretty quickly. But there was something about this picture that was driving me completely nuts. I was just like, I don't understand why they're using this version of ECW World Heavyweight Championship in a trash can when, one, Bray Wyatt would have never held the championship at that time. He was 14. And none of the Rotunda family ever worked for ECW at all. Maybe Mike Rotunda as IRS, but I think it was a one-off general appearance. The only one that came to mind was Raven. So I was just like, well, if I think about it, ECW Heavyweight Championship, that would have been Raven, because Raven was very much an inspiration for Bray Wyatt. Now, a lot of people will say, yeah, it's probably Waylon Mercy, but Waylon Mercy, very, very close. Very, very close with Waylon Mercy, but Waylon Mercy was more, less Charles Manson and more Robert De Niro's character in Cape Fear. But Raven in ECW, what he would do was that he had people kind of join in his family, join in his flock. He even took the Sandman's wife and the kids and then manipulated them to be a part of his family. However, the part that really bothered me was that ECW championship was not the ECW championship that Raven won. He won like version like 2 of the ECW championship, because it was this version, and then once it got to like Shane Douglas, then it changed to that new version that you saw that's in the house right now. But I was close. It was all Raven, though, because the ECW Championship did indicate Raven. But there's one other thing on this shopping cart in this photo, and it's that Frankenstein guy that's just sitting in the shopping cart. The same Frankenstein guy that's right here behind the ECW Championship. So that's a really cool like tie-in to so many different things. Now, I would have probably liked if they added more stuff for Joe Gacy and Nikki Cross, probably their association with Schism and Sanity, but it's not there. So, and then also there's not a whole lot of like other wrestler references other than those who were affiliated with the Wyatt Six. And there's strangely no Braun Strowman, who I think is a very important piece of the Wyatt story. But the fact that there's really no Braun Strowman anywhere in the house, that's weird to me. That's a weird thing to me. I don't know. I'm probably end up going to have to go back through the house. There's a ton of references that anybody can pick up on. There's so much stuff. There's so much lore. That's a lot. I mean, but it's definitely probably one of my top houses. And even if you don't like WWE, or even if you don't understand it, or maybe you don't understand the Wyatt Six lore, and you've watched videos and you still don't understand the Wyatt Six lore, it's still an enjoyable house to walk through no matter what.